Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you had a wonderful day. The fall season is setting upon us rather quickly. Another beautiful day out here in the Coachella Valley. Hey, just real quick before I get started tonight. Some of you might, or maybe not, be wondering why I talk about this subject of male sexual abuse all the time. Some of you know me, you know why I do it, but I talk about what men do not want to be talked about, what men do not want to talk about. When 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 boys are sexually abused before the age of 18, women have somewhere they can go and talk about this stuff all the time. Where men, they don't want to talk about it. And rightfully so. It brings up a lot of shame. And the societal rules for men tell us that if you're a man, you're supposed to be strong. Don't talk about your emotions. Don't talk about your feelings. Suck it up. Figure it out. Don't show your weakness. All that. So if you're a man and you talk about this subject, it makes you appear weak as a man. Well, you should have been able to protect yourself. So that's why I talk about it, because nobody talks about it. And you know what we hear oftentimes when we go out and we speak publicly about it is that men just get over it. It's no big deal. It happened a long time ago. They just get over it. No, we don't just get over it. There's a lot of effects. It affects us in so many different levels, and it affects us from the time we were kids, teenagers, young teenagers. Excuse the beep. Something went wrong in my other recording. So it affects us from the time we're young teenagers all the way into our adulthood. That self-esteem, low self-worth, and it does help us in a positive way at some point. Hey Jack, how you doing? Jose, Alfred, glad you guys are all here today. So that's why I talk about it, because men don't want to talk about it. And we have found out over the last 10 years of talking publicly about it that when men hear other men talk about being sexually abused, about the effects that it has on them, and about the fact that there is a healing process and healing available, then men will start talking about it themselves. Hi, Kate. So that's another reason why I wrote the book, because my book talks about things that men don't want to talk about. Okay? So earlier today, I posted, what did I post? Well, I'm just going to read the whole paragraph. I know it was out of the first paragraph. On page 47 of what story have you been telling yourself? What story have you been telling yourself? For many years, I told myself a story about myself that was not true. The facts of the story were based on false beliefs that I had allowed into my life for the previous 30 plus years. Dysfunctional parents had driven those beliefs into me. And so I believed a story that could not be further from the truth. What's up, Lonnie? So that's the reading I had today. I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit. So I got 4 questions for all of you asking. Men, women, both alike. First question is, what story are you telling yourself today? What story are you telling yourself today? I want you to think about this, maybe give you something to journal about. The second question, who told you that story? Who told you that story? The third question is it true? Is it true? And 4, is it absolutely true? Absolutely true. And the 5th one is, what is the real truth? What is the real truth? So for myself, the story that I told myself for years was that I was worthless, I was an idiot, I was never going to amount to nothing, nobody was going to love me, not even my wife. That's why I had the affair. It was nothing Kathy did. I didn't believe a woman could love me that much, as dirty and tainted as I was. But I told myself all these lies, that I wasn't important, that my voice didn't matter, that I was unlovable. How could anybody love somebody like me? You know. And who told me those stories? Well, I said it in the first paragraph there. It was my mother and my stepfather. I heard it for years, that, who do you think you are, Randy? What right do you have to be angry? Look at where you live. Look at everything you got. You have no right to be angry. If I talked about my feelings, I was shut down immediately, either with verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse. So that's where I learned the story that I had told myself for so many years. So, and when you hear it, maybe once, you might hear it, Mom, Dad has a problem, they said something they shouldn't have said. That's all right, we all make mistakes, but they could also come back and apologize for that, saying, dude, you know what, I'm sorry, your voice does matter, and I want to hear everything you have to say. I want to hear about your pain, because it's important to me. So parents do make mistakes, and they can be rectified immediately, but in my case, in our abuse, a lot of abuse survivors cases, those mistakes are never even, they're not rectified, let alone even validated. So what is true in my life? What is the truth? The truth is, I do have a voice. My voice is important. And that's why I speak up today about what I speak up about. I'm going to carry this into my grave, and I'll be screaming from my grave that there is hope for men that have been sexually abused. We have to pay attention to it. You know, God called me out of the pits of hell as he walked with me through the pits of hell. And for only one reason. He didn't do it just say, okay, well, now that you're sober, Randy, have a good life. And that was just great to watch you go through all that hell for 30 plus years. Genesis 50:20. What man meant for harm, God meant for the good. For the many lives of men you will save today. And that's my life scripture. And I live by that. So what I know today is that I'm a man of God. I'm lovable. I have a lot of friends. I'm likable. I'm not dirty. I'm not tainted. I'm not ugly. Okay? My voice does matter. I'm important. That's all those things. That's who I am today. I'm a great husband. I'm a great father. I'm a great friend. I'm a great mentor. Okay, am I perfect? Heck, no, I'm not perfect. None of us are. I make mistakes. But that's okay. That's what life is about. I look at my hands, and I don't know about you, but I don't see no holes in my hand. But I do my best to be Christ-minded in all that I do. I do my best to treat my wife, my children, and everybody that I run across with love, kindness, compassion, understanding, and forgiveness. Again, I'm not perfect, but I do my best. And actually, what I just talked about was that I don't know if I might have got ahead of myself, and I do apologize. I don't know if I asked the question, so I'm going to ask this one. Was it absolutely true what you were told? Who told me that story? Was it true, or was it absolutely true? And I got ahead of myself, okay? Absolutely means with no qualification, restrictions, or limitation. So how can anything be absolute? And actually, my therapist presented that to me. One day we were having a session. She goes, Randy, is it true? And I go, yeah, it's true. I believe it to be true. She goes, it's absolutely true what you're saying. And that set me back. Because how can we know that anything about anybody else is absolutely true? I know what's true about me. But what about you? I don't know what's absolutely true about you. So we gotta be careful there. So all my thinking was a result of the dysfunctional family I grew up in. The truths that I had been told, the truth that I had been told, or the words that I had been told, were not absolute truths at all. They were warped representations of reality. I developed these false beliefs that were carried with me in my adult years. Beliefs such as, these are what I believe. I truly believe that the abuse I suffered was my fault. My fault. that I was a bad child, maybe even evil. Maybe even evil. Well, Randy, why would you be evil? Well, at one point my mother called me Satan himself. That came out of the mouth of my mother. You're Satan yourself. I truly believe that the abuse I suffered was my fault and that I was a bad child. I think I might have just said that. I apologize. I'm going off my nose. I believe that since my mother did not love me, I was unlovable. I was unlovable. My own mom didn't appear to love me. Is that absolutely true? I don't know, but the appearance of not protecting me and instigating some of the worst beatings I got means my mom, in my eyes, didn't love me. I believe that since a pastor in my church told me when I was 14 that my stepfather's sexual abuse of me was a normal part of growing up and that I would not turn gay, must be something wrong with me because I was sick about it. I believe that I didn't deserve to be happy. So if it's a normal part of growing up, being sexually abused, according to the pastor I grew up with, then the way I feel must be wrong. I must be wrong in the way I feel. It just must be me. And the fact is, it wasn't. It was my pastor and it was my stepfather. Because I will tell you, after that conversation, my stepfather, the abuse got far worse, far worse. I held on to those false storylines well into my adult years. And eventually, by twisting the reality I created to serve my needs as a child, turned to a personal belief system that served no purpose in my adult life than destroy me as an adult. Those false beliefs serve no other purpose. And I'm a Christian, I believe in God. The enemy was using those to absolutely destroy me because he knew what God's plans were for me. And that was to help the many lives of men that I'm saving today. So he was going to do everything he could, including having me tell myself I was worthless and that my voice did not matter. By using the tools of reparenting my inner child, and I've talked about that before, I've been able to solve the deeper issues that many of us face in recovery, yet never seem to heal. A lot of people in recovery never seem to heal these deep wounds. Never seem to recover heal from these deep wounds because they don't know how to. They just scratch the surface. I'm not drinking and I'm not using, that's good enough. But yet they have all these other issues coming up in their life constantly and they just don't know how to get past them, or they don't want to look at them. I know men don't want to look at this. All right, that's a whole other subject I can spend a lot of time on as well. For me, even though the journey to wholeness started in my AA, as an AA, it wasn't until I started doing the inner child work that I was really able to start healing. I went from crawling in recovery into sprinting into recovery. So, I just, ask yourself next time somebody says something to you, or you're just feeling like you're inferior, not enough, less than, feeling stupid. Ask who's telling you that story. Who's telling you that? And is it true? Who are you? You know who you are. We all know who we are. But that voice that we grew up with, that voice that does nothing but try to destroy us, always wants to tell us just the opposite of what we are in God's eyes. Just the opposite of what we are in God's eyes. So, you can get a lot more on this in my book, Healing the Man Within, and I know it's showing you backwards. I don't know how to fix this. I can throw it all different ways. You get a lot more on this subject in my book, Healing the Man Within. There's stuff about healing in there as well. So I want to make sure that you know that there's healing for all this. I know I talk about the problem and a little bit about the solution. Now, as time goes on, I'll talk more about solutions in here, okay? But it's just, for this one, it's make sure you find somebody that you can trust, somebody that loves you, somebody's going to sit down and listen to you, validate you and your voice, and be there for you, mentor you, okay? Because, and they're not gonna feed you any negative garbage. They're not gonna tell you, well, you should have done this or you should have done that. It's walk through this path with you in a loving way, okay? So get my book at Amazon.com. You can visit my webpage, courageoushealers.org. courageoushealers.org. And there's some information on that website as well. My changeyourlifestorynow.com, changemylifestorynow.com for life coaching. I can walk you through a lot of these issues. Addiction, you're struggling in life, just trying to get ahead, you're stuck on something in life. I'll help you. I can help you get through it. Actually, you're going to figure it out yourself because you know the answer within yourself, and coaching is just a way of drawing that out. Also on the Change Your Life Story Now coaching thing, in January, I believe it's in January, we're trying to pinpoint a date right now. Kathy and I are going to do a couples communication workshop, So I'll let you know when that's coming up. And then last but not least, my Ride Across America in June. I think last time I talked, I had all the routes all figured out, so I'm just finishing up some other paperwork. I got a meeting with a gentleman this month, and then hopefully by the end of the month I'll have everything finalized, and then I can start fundraising and do all that sweet stuff. So, hey, you all have a blessed week, man. If nobody's told you they love you today, remember, God does. He'll never fail you. He'll always be there for you, and Randy loves you as well. Be blessed, all. Thanks.